Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening,
Wow.
Mayor.
Good evening.
We got about 1 minute, half a minute or something, and we'll be ready to start.
Okay.
Okay, it's 7:30. We shall start now. We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Alderwoman West. Alderwoman West. Alderwoman Tapman.
Here.
Alderwoman Reed. Alderwoman Reed. Alderman Weezy. Alderman Thomas.
Present.
Alderman Christian.
Here.
Alderwoman Dales.
Present.
Alderwoman Avant Elliott.
Present.
Alderwoman West. Alderwoman Reed. Alderman Weezy.
Here.
Okay. Mayor, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 6 present and 2 absent.
Okay, and who are the absents?
The absence is Alderwoman West and Alderwoman Reed.
Okay. So, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda for the Board of Aldermen meeting that's convening on today, Thursday, June 4th at 7:30 p.m.
Christian, second.
Move. Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Nay. All right, ayes have it. Presentation of unapproved minutes from 5/21, 5/28.
Mayor, this is Alderwoman Elise. I'd like to make a motion to approve the unapproved minutes for the BOA meeting for for May 21, 2020, and the special meeting for May 28, 2020.
Wheezy, second.
Any discussions?
Yes, Mayor. There was a few motion errors, I guess, like it was mentioned that a motion was made to remove bill number 2573. I don't think that was the case. And there was also under old business, let's see, presentation. I think I made the motion of the first set of minutes and then indicated, oh, isn't there another one to do a motion for, but it has Elise Dales on there for that one. And underneath the motion concerning the citizens to speak, it indicates after that motion that I suggested that a motion had to be made. So the order is off as far as some of the sequence of events. So under the motion for the city clerk was where your comments were, but it's listed under the mayor comments. So, and I know that Alderwoman Reed, she said she's having technical difficulties. The change in her ordinance title was not captured. And under new business, it says ordinance, ordinance, and ordinance, ordinance.
Which one are you?
Under new business B, it says an ordinance and an ordinance double. And then the attorney indicated that for the minutes that Alderwoman Dales suggested that she wanted to remove her vote, that she had made a motion to approve the minutes and it still passed. That's an important note. And additionally, she advised from my question to her that MOA would not need to be motioned for, and that was not captured.
Okay, where are you reading from, Alderwoman Elliott?
So on the agenda where it indicates, let me try to pull it up. I'm sorry. Okay, so starting with the approval of the agenda, I don't believe a motion was made to remove bill number 2573. It was just a discussion that turned into Alderwoman Dale's removing it because of me sharing that the bill had failed. Under the presentation of an unapproved, I believe that I made a motion for that, but you have Dale's indicated. And then under old business, Alderwoman Tamman explained and read the memorandum of agreement. And the question was asked about board approval, and the attorney said that that was not required. And Alderwoman Dales indicated that she was rescinding her yes vote to change to no, and the attorney indicated that she made the motion for that those minutes and it would still stand, but it can be placed in. That's important to note.
That's why I said for the record. I mean, what, okay, I don't know how I should think. Okay.
Oh, I was just saying that, just mentioning what the attorney had indicated that that Alderwoman Dales had made the motion for it, so it made it complicated and the motion would stand. And then as indicated, for the resolution, was there no motion for that resolution for the CARES Act? Because there is no motions indicated under that resolution for Alderwoman West.
I don't have my notes here. I would have to check that when I get back to the office.
Okay. Okay. So given there will possibly be many changes, and I know that the resolution will have to be voted on as well in order for it to be complete, I would recommend that we postpone the approval of those minutes so those corrections can be properly documented.
Can I also interject at this point that I think we've had our packet for a few days, so it would help us to expedite the meeting if when we find those things that need to be corrected, if we can get with our city clerk to help make those corrections that way, because, you know, we notice our meetings are going long and we do want to ensure that our citizens get an opportunity to speak. So I just want to suggest when we get our minutes, because we get them, you know, way far in advance, if we can get with our city clerk to help make those corrections, that way when we come to the meeting, we'll have everything that's in order.
I concur.
Yeah, I agree with that. I did request Zoom. I didn't get a chance to look at it, and so not having that information, I won't have that opportunity to review for accuracy. But I have assisted in that process before, but I know that the Zoom review is typically a part of her process for accuracy.
No, I was just saying, when we get the minutes far in advance, because we do, I think we got these on, Monday, that, you know, we get an opportunity to spend that time to go through it. And I'm not going to prolong this. I just wanted to make that statement that when we get our packets 72 hours ahead of time, that we should try to assist each other in clarifying some of those mistakes.
Yes.
That way, when we come to our meetings, those things are already taken care of.
Okay, I agree. So I would like to make a motion to postpone the approval of the minutes to make all the necessary corrections for accuracy, since we maintain the records. And I apologize for not assisting in that process as I have before, but I apologize.
Is there a second?
I second it. This is Alderwoman Reed.
Further discussions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The meeting now will be open to the public.
Yes. This is Peg Warnes. I'm speaking for myself and my husband, Greg Warnes. We live at 10030 Crete Drive. I'd like to inform the board that approximately 1 month ago, neighbors on Crete Drive met with Lieutenant Bollinger and Brian Coleman, Officer Brian Coleman. We also invited our older person, our older people. We live on a dividing line between Ward at 1 and 2. So we invited Barbara West, Michael Weezy, Teresa Reed was invited but could not come because of the coronavirus, and Alderman Tapman was out of town on private business. During that meeting, we all aired our concerns, which I think maybe you have a copy of, I'm not sure, but a copy of things that were of great concern to us. Things like drug traffic, traffic cutting through the alley at high rates of speed. We have urinating and defecating on the wall and in the alley. We have lots of drug traffic, both on the streets in front of our houses and also in the shopping center. A resident named Corey is a person who is a drug addict, and he screams and he yells and he is nude. And I can tell you that within 1 week's time, the police have been here 5 times to take him to Christian Hospital. He signs himself out and he comes right back. We have dumping, severe dumping in the alley. I can say that within the week following the meeting that we had, there were 2 shootings in the shopping center. One which came out onto the street and into the neighborhood and could have easily hit people that were out there. Another was 2 people who had been going at the fish and chicken place, and they got in an argument and they started shooting. On both of those occasions, the police were called, the police responded. I can say that at this meeting, we came up with some great ideas of how we might slow down this problem or maybe even eliminate it. And I think Chief Eiler will talk about that when he gives his police report. While I have you, I also want you to know that another neighbor, Tiana Wallace, who lives at 10,029 Crete, is not able to be here because she's just returned to work from being furloughed. But she writes, I have some concerns as before. I have a child in grade school that is unable to play outside because of my growing concern for our safety on this street and surrounding streets. It's way too much going on, speeding cars, cars that are just sitting and idling. Then we have the issue with our neighbor. My child is unable to play out back because of all the screaming, yelling, cursing, nudity, etc. that goes on from him. It is all very uncomfortable and unsettling. I also have a comment from Roderick Metz and his wife, Rosie Panada, who live at 10024 Crete Drive. Their comment is the noise, the groups of people using drugs in the alley, Corey yelling and screaming at all hours of the day and night. We have 2 teenage sons who have worked at Dairy Queen for a number of years. We can no longer allow them to walk to work across Bell Fountain Road because of safety. We have to take them and pick them up from work according to their work schedule. So I'm going to leave it there. I don't know if somebody else is on the line that wants to comment, but I know that Chief Eiler is going to talk about some of this when he gives his police report. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes,
My name is
go
Everation.
ahead.
My name is Everesha Perry. I reside at 1245 Danville Drive. I had gone to Bell Fountain Neighbors website to get the call-in information for the Zoom, and I did not see it there. The only place I saw it was on Nextdoor. Is it going to be the same phone number ID, the call-in ID and password all the time so I can just record that? But there are other residents are probably missing out because they went to the website and it's not on there.
It's on the front page of the website where it's under headlines, and then it'll say meetings, and then you press that link and it takes you to it. So we start putting it on the front page so that everybody can see that.
Okay, I'm on the home page now. So you're saying it's where?
I have to pull it up, but it's on, when you go to the home page, it says
Yeah,
headlines.
headlines.
Let me go there. I have to go there.
Yeah, latest headlines. I went to Board of Alderman June 4th meeting, and when I went there, it just has public hearing, proposed amendment to chapter 29, but I hit that and it circled back around.
Right, that's not it. I'm trying to get there now. That's where it is.
If you click on agenda at top, it'll come up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
This is Pat Barrett. I just wanted to add to what Peg Warnix was talking about. I was also at that meeting about a month ago, and we did some checking with Chief Goldstein concerning gating that alley behind Ruler Foods at the north and south ends. He was in agreement with it so long as we maintain a 20-foot clear opening for fire trucks. We also have exit gates because there are a series of doors, exit doors on the back side of that building. I have sent a request to Ruler Foods earlier this week to get their input on it, trying to appeal to their sense of being a good citizen and also to protect the substantial investment that they've made. I have not heard back from them yet. I'm assuming that they're running that up the flagpole because we're probably, or they are probably looking at about a $20,000 investment. I did ask them to make that investment, and hopefully we will get a response. That's all I have.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, my name is
Wanda-
Brian Chapman.
Just-
I'm sorry, I'll yield to whoever that was that
No,
wanted to
sir.
speak.
Go ahead, Mr. Chapman. No, sir. Go ahead. No,
Okay,
sir.
my name is Brian Chapman. I live at 10038 Creek Drive on the corner of Cabot and Creek. I live directly on the side of Family Dollar. I have had to install 8 cameras to be able to record the drug activity that's blatantly in front of my driveway. The drugs are even being bought in my driveway. My kids and grandkids can't play outside in the front because of speeding cars, the drug activity, the shooting. I can't even enjoy an evening on the front porch because of the nonsense that's going on. When we attended the last meeting, my suggestion was, what's the big deal of cutting off that entrance into the shopping mall when you have 2 other entrances into it, because all they do is speed up and down the street. That would actually cut down a lot of drug activity, because what they do is they come from out of the subdivision down the hill on Cabot, go to the side of Family Dollar, make drug transactions, and all they have to do is make a U-turn and just casually cruise back down the hill. One morning I recorded on my cameras 6 drugs transactions within 10 minutes. All they do is bag in, make the exchange, and they go right back into the subdivision. If we were to be able to cut their escape way out, that will cut down on a lot of stuff, because they will have to go onto Bell Fountain or onto Chambers. It's just really unsafe. I was out there working on a car the other day, and a young man just came down the street shooting right in front of my driveway. I don't think this is a healthy way of living, especially when I've been here 16 years. I just want to know, what will we have to do to block their entrance, it really doesn't serve a purpose. It really doesn't, because you can actually come up Cabot, make a left or make a right, and you can still go to the shopping center instead of coming down the street at 60 miles an hour. That's the only concern that I have, other than the drug activity, which is a lot. And I've got into it with these young men about buying drugs right in front of my house and on my property. And I don't want to get hurt. I don't want my son hurt, and I don't want them to get hurt. And that's really all that I have to say about that.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Yes, sir. Wanda Lane, 9915 Martindale. I have a totally different issue. First, I'd like to congratulate the re-elected and the newly elected officials. Thank Alderman Weezy for his service. And please remember that you are sitting in a seat that belongs to the citizens. Over the past year, I voted so I could stay under the 3 minutes, Mayor. Over the past year, this board has demonstrated countless acts of unprofessional behavior. Citizens have pleaded for improvement, yet the unprofessionalism persists. In the 10 years I have been a regular attendee of these meetings, I have never witnessed such chaos as I have witnessed under this president. There are too many instances to name. However, this president has been allowed to operate in violation of our ordinance regarding the duties of the president of the board. Our ordinance states that the president is to serve in the absence of the mayor. This president has conducted unauthorized and illegal meetings, defied the mayor by ignoring his cancellation of a meeting, asked for a motion for a notice of concern to be drafted by the prosecutor to address ordinance violations related to the meeting, the illegal meeting, to the city clerk, mayor, chief of police, and city attorney. I don't even actually know what that means. But this motion was made by Alderwoman West and second by Alderman Christian, according to the unapproved April 16 minutes as posted on our city's website. The president invited a city official from another municipality, unbeknownst to the mayor, and again for an event not authorized by the city. The president posted on the neighborhood website voting information suggesting citizens should not be compelled to vote for a candidate who is running unopposed. Yet the president ran unopposed herself. As a citizen, I find that advice to be double-minded and unstable. On Tuesday, someone posted at the polling station the following directions. Please write yourself in for Bellefontaine Ward for alderman. I imagine that person is too cowardly to own up to that despicable act. Again, that's shameful. In actuality, the president is disseminating unproductive advice to the citizens. Apparently, the president is not educated to St. Louis County Board of Elections write-in policy 115.453(4). This false advice was also disseminated in person by the president at a polling station, and there are photos. In conclusion, the president of the BOA ordinance has morphed into something unrecognizable. Disrespect for the mayor, hacking other alderpersons' projects, city personnel manager, half-truths, and other self-appointed positions too many to name. The board must respect the vote of the citizens. You slap the face of every citizen who voted for this mayor, yet you continue to operate in such a divisive manner. So if the board chooses to reinstate a person of this questionable character, it says you are complicit as well. And I certainly hope that's not the case. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else from the public who would like to speak? Then we'll bring it back to the board. Commissions and board report. Public safety. I'm just gonna go down the line. If you're here, stop me. Public safety, youth commission, image and beautification. Beg your pardon.
Youth Commission is here.
All right, you may speak. You have a report to make?
The only report that I have is about our fishing derby. The Missouri Conservation is closed, so our fishing derby will not take place this weekend.
Okay. All right.
Thank you,
Image and beautification. Parks.
May I speak for a moment for INB?
Yes.
Oh, we did meet last month just to get together on Zoom. The next meeting will be June the 9th, next week. They're planning everything for later in the year, so hopefully we'll be able to have a cleanup and everything for the fall, and as things get better and stuff. And then I do want to ask Fran about INB. Did you receive the board's proposed budget for INB?
Yes, I did receive that and I sent it to the treasurer.
Okay, they did reduce it. I did tell them things would probably have to get reduced, so they did reduce it from last year.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Christian, let me ask you, you said the next meeting is June what?
June 9th at 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that report. Parks and Recreation Board. Street Department. Planning and zoning. Pat, you got a report. Planning and zoning.
Just a couple of things from planning and zoning. At the board meeting on May 21st, we presented a couple of sets of recommendations. The first set had to do with updating fees for conditional use permits, zoning amendments, and occupancy permits. It does require a public hearing, and that has been posted for the June 18th meeting. Thank you, Fran. And a board bill has been drafted accordingly. The second set of recommendations included amendments to sign regulations, also requiring a public hearing. That's been posted, and that will be heard on June 18th as well. The last point of business would be to request reappointment of Matt Borzamowski to Planning and Zoning. I believe his term is coming up. He has 12 years experience with planning and zoning, more than any other member there. And he does bring a lot of prior knowledge, institutional knowledge with him, which we benefit from. I would request that he be reappointed. That is all.
All right, thank you very much. City engineer. Approval of invoices over 500. Motion to
Mayor?
approve invoices, yes.
This is Alderwoman Reed. I would like to make a motion to approve the 5 bills dated June 2nd for a total of $20,475.45.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who's second? I'm sorry, who's second?
Christian can have it. It's
Chris.
fine. Christian.
Gotcha.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Chief report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to start off with that. Be mindful that Bellefonte neighbors are still at high risk as it concerns COVID-19. If you attended the special meeting on May 28th, I discussed a lot of statistical information that demonstrated how high risk we were able to attend that meeting. Go to stlcorona.com and go to statistics, and everything that I talked about is there on that webpage. It all comes from St. Louis County. Second, city parks are now open. However, the bathrooms remain closed. I know the Parks Department is following what St. Louis County Parks is doing and kind of mirroring that as that goes along. Everyone's aware of what's been happening in the St. Louis region, if not nationwide, concerning the death of George Floyd and the protest and the riots have resulted from that. The St. Louis area have seen a lot of activity, a lot more than what was present about 5 or 6 years ago. We are providing some of our human resources to provide civil disturbance responsibilities in certain areas. So far, there has been no information that I'm aware of that concerns Bellefontaine neighbors and any activity that's coming to our city. However, later on the agenda, there's bill number 2579 that talks about civil emergency procedures. When we get to that bill, I may discuss more as need be. The city needs to be prepared should something occur in our town, and that ordinance needs to be carefully considered because if something should happen in our town, there are certain things that we need to do to keep the public safe and to protect people's property. If you have been mindful of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch last weekend, Tony Messenger issued an article concerning the arrest of a private investigator back in late April. Two things about that article. First, Mr. Messenger reached out to me last Thursday, and pursuant to Sunshine Law, I had 3 days to reply to that. It's 3 business days, meaning Tuesday. This Tuesday, past Tuesday, would have been the day to respond to him. However, he did not wait, issued his article. I responded to him on that Monday. Second, although I can't talk about specifics of the case, I can tell you that that person was detained for probable cause and subsequently arrested. That was left out of the article. Touching on a lot of the things that people have been talking about in the open forum, the Russell Hill Shopping Center and that particular area. Pat Barrett already covered gates up at the shopping center behind between Ruler Foods and Dollar General. The point of access that everyone's talking about that leads from the center, the northwest corner of that parking lot into the Bissell Hills neighborhood, which is Cabin Crete. There has been some drawings and some discussion about installing a barricade at the Cabin Crete entrance to that shopping center because of the speeding, the gun violence, the theft, the drug traffic, and so on. I, as the chief of police, subsequent to section 17-3 of the Code of Ordinances, I can temporarily close any street and withdraw the same from the public use if a public emergency exists. I believe that what is occurring in that area would qualify as a public emergency, given the deep intensity of it. And I am recommending that to the board, because I would like buy-in on this, that access be closed temporarily for 12 months to collect data as to the effectiveness of that closure. And after 12 months, we can reevaluate as to whether or not that closure was effective or not, and whether or not it would remain open or closed. I would like some feedback from the board about what they think about that before we make any step forward on it.
I'll go ahead and chime in, Mayor.
All right, go
This
ahead.
is Alderman Weezy. So everybody that's listening, you heard the people that lived on those streets talk earlier. And I was at that meeting with a bunch of other people. And I can tell you personally, it was so upsetting to hear these people talk about the stuff that's going on. I mean, right in broad daylight in front of their house. I mean, you guys on the board, I sent you that long email with my feelings on that we should do something for these people. I think there's two things here that I think are worth talking about. Number one, we had this little meeting in a neighborhood down there off of Ashbrook somewhere down at that church. And we had 2 police officers there. And then we had the group of people from those 2 streets where all this is going on. And number one, it was awesome because you got to be face to face with these cops. Everybody got to express their opinions, and then we brainstormed, like, what in the hell can we do? Because we don't want to give the same old answer to these people like, oh yeah, we don't like guns, we don't like drugs, but guess what? We're not going to do anything. So I think this is an opportunity where it doesn't cost much. I mean, I think it's like $1,000. Oh, I don't know, I shouldn't say, but it doesn't cost much. It's temporary to some degree. We can find out if it really works and maybe we use it somewhere else. So, I mean, I think it's worth considering, but I'm curious what you guys all think.
This is Alderman Thomas. Mayor.
Go ahead, Alderman.
Yes, sir. I would be in agreement with the chief of closing that entrance off, and for that 12-month period, collect the statistics, and then we'll know exactly if that's the problem area. Also agree with Alderman Weezy that if it works there and we have another area, we'll do it there also. That's the end of my comment.
May I have a comment as well? This is Alderwoman Dales. We have the same issues over in Ward 4. And the citizens have been asking for some of the streets to be cut off that's adjacent to the city of St. Louis. And they've been asking this for years. So I would hope that maybe we can do that in that area, because we have multiple streets over in Ward 4 that need the same thing. We also have the same issues. And many of my residents ask, why is it that we can no longer have our policemen patrol the city the way that they used to? And I have that in every comment that I talk to. We do not see the police patrolling our neighborhoods. And we just gave them a raise and they want to know why.
Mayor Pearson?
Yes.
This is Alderwoman Reed. I would like to make a motion for us to agree with the chief's recommendations to put some barricades at Creek and Cabot to the entrance of the Bissell Hills Shopping Center for a 12-month period while BNPD gather statistics, and hopefully at the end of 12 months they come back to the board and let us know their findings.
Weezy will second it, if I may.
Second.
Alderman Weezy. Are there any further discussions?
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposers nay. Ayes have it.
Mhm.
All
Mayor,
right,
I have a question for Chief.
Yes.
I was wondering, was there a resolution put in place for the Mike Brown era? And if so, would that not still be active? Was it rescinded after it was activated? I just want to have a little bit more information about that.
You would have to check with the city clerk. I know the city clerk's only been here for the past year, but she would have that in her records.
Do you remember them bringing this up in the same manner during the Mike Brown?
Offhand,
Okay.
are you talking? What particular resolution are you alluding to?
The one about unrest and protest, and the one that's similar to what's on the table now.
Are you talking about the civil emergencies procedures?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That never came up. So if we go back 3 to 6 years ago, a lot of the protests were happening in three main places, specific areas down in St. Louis City, Clayton, and Ferguson. And now we're seeing a trend that they're going all over them.
Mhm.
And my fear is that we're going to have activity in Bellefontaine neighbors, but we won't have anything in place to kind of control that activity. Because if that activity gets out of control, we're talking major property damage, people getting hurt, and I don't want happening. So when we're talking about the civil emergencies procedure, that's why I'm bringing it up now. But that was not talked about 6 years ago, 2014, when that all began.
Okay,
And
so
you're
will
correct, Chief, because the protests, and you're absolutely right, because the protests, the Ferguson protests were concentrated only in different areas. And we're seeing how things are being codified now. Like you said, there's no barriers, and it's a probability because of things escalating that I'm glad that you're thinking proactively, because we do need this in place. So thank you.
So
You're welcome.
the emergency plan will include some processes in there, or is that something that has to be amended?
So
Okay.
this bill is brand new.
Right.
And it's written in conformance with the state statutes.
Okay.
So what it does for us is that it it describes how the public is notified of civil emergency. It describes how they would implement a citywide curfew, how we would close businesses, how we would stop the sales of liquor and gasoline, how we would close public spaces, buildings, and streets. It's that is meant specifically for civil emergencies, to where the city has to be operated in real time to go through certain steps to protect the public.
So will this be permanent, or will we need to come back to remove it? Like,
But no, so this would be an ordinance that would be permanent. It would go into Chapter 6, Civil Defense Disaster, as Article 2.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'll come back to the board because the issue with blocking off Bissell Hill's access point, the ideas that have been given to me, which I think is good, is a concrete barrier, nothing gaudy, because I'm worried about the aesthetics of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it would have to be something permanent that can be put there and removed if necessary. I don't want to put up flimsy barricades and some signs, because I think that would not look good for the neighborhood. So I'll come back to the board and hopefully have some pricing as well, and maybe some diagrams or some pictures to show you of what we would be investing in. Lastly, and this is part of one of our IT projects for the city, there is a Wi-Fi upgrade that's been tabled for the rec center. It's $260 equipment and access point, and that's not why I present this to you. It's the installation of the cable. I think a city employee can do it, like someone from Public Works. If not, it's going to cost us about $2,000 to do it. I was wanting to know if you wanted us to contract somebody to do it, or you wanted me to consult Public Works to have them do it. $2,000, and I mean, it's kind of, to me, it's like a no-brainer. You'd save $2,000 and have the IT technician show them how to run it.
Hey,
That would be fine with me, Chief. This is Alderwoman Dales.
Okay.
This is Alderman
Chief.
Thomas. I would be in agreement with you, Chief.
Yes.
Chief Eiler,
Yes, sir.
this is Wheezy. If you show me, or if you tell me when they're meeting up there, I'll meet whoever these people are and see where these cables got to go. I know like 80 contractors that could do it, and I could get a price, and you'd have a hard number.
Gotcha.
It's worth a check,
Gotcha. Thank you very much. And that's all I have.
Any other questions to the chief?
Mayor Pearson,
Yes.
this is Alderwoman Reed.
Yes, sir.
Chief, I know at the last meeting, not, the last regular board meeting, we had asked about the insurance, and you were gonna contact the insurance to see if they were gonna cover the COVID testing. That now isn't one day, it's actually Monday through Saturday, I think, or something like that, for an extended amount of time. So do you have any follow-up on that?
Yeah, so I worked with the insurance company and drafted a hold harmless agreement between city and Affinia Healthcare. Aside from that, they asked that they provide a certificate of insurance and an insurance endorsement. With all that in place, Myrma said there'd be no problem with insurance coverage at that point.
Okay, so you're
And
gonna
I'll be making a
you're
report
gonna
on that during my
actually
report time.
maintain that, Chief Eiler, you're gonna make sure that that's gathered since you're our insurance rep.
It's already done, pretty much.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Chief.
And all that paperwork will be filed back to the insurance company and with the city clerk.
Thank you. I had two more for you though. So I'm already hearing fireworks, like as Memorial Day. So we had those signs a couple years ago. Are you like putting them up again?
The police department didn't have the signs. We didn't buy the signs and we didn't install the signs. I don't know. I think Public Works put them up, but I'm not for sure who bought them.
I mean, I know the city brought them. That's what you mean? We didn't buy them individually. It was.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the city purchased signs and put them out. That was out. The police department didn't do that.
Okay, so can you follow up on that? It'd be nice to have those out because me myself, I can't distinguish between gunfire and fireworks all the time.
Yeah, I'll get with the head of Public Works to find out where those signs are at.
And let us know if we don't have them and need to do them, need to get more possibly.
Okay.
And then the last thing, so I didn't get a chance to read this 2379. And so you gave a long list before, but does anywhere in there, do you remember or recollect that it allows you to call out for the military to be brought into our community?
That would not necessarily be covered under that. That's kind of outside the scope of the civil emergency ordinance that we would use. Ours is specifically for specific things that we can do with our city legally. When we call for mutual aid, so we have a mutual aid agreement with surrounding police agencies, fire department, paramedics, and we also have access to the National Guard. Usually on a situation like on this scale is run by the Emergency Operations Center for St. Louis County, and they manage that at their level and kind of disperse all those resources out across the area where they're needed.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I did have one other one. It's really just a comment. I do not remember the date now, which I should have it engraved in my memory, but I just wanted to commend the officers that were on duty when a young man across the street from me was struck by lightning. They all showed up, I timed it. It was just under 3 minutes. I mean, like 5 cars. Actually, Bellefontaine police showed up before the fire trucks and the EMS. So the young man just had jitters. He was still twitching a lot, but he was able to walk himself to the EMS vehicle. But I actually saw that with my own eyes. So I was really happy that they all came and attended to him until, the other medical people could.
Thank you.
May I have a question for the chief?
Yes, ma'am.
Chief, are the patrolmen going to drive through the street on the 4th of July like they did that previous year? I think that was in 2018. where they drove through the streets with their lights flashing.
Yeah, I will
Okay.
have them do it again. That drew a lot of attention, meaning positive attention. A lot of
Right.
people that we got a lot of positive feedback. So yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, one last question about insurance. We did have previous conversation about other organizations being on the parking lot, and we didn't revisit conversations about insurance. Is that insurance required for any entity outside of Bell Fountain that hosts events on our property? How can we make sure that the liability hold harmless is signed for any entity? Because currently we have Influence Church, and they're going to be there until the end of August, and we don't have any type of agreement or anything signed with them that I'm aware of based on me asking the mayor previously.
Okay, tell you what, could you send me a short email just kind of describing what's going on with Influence Church and purpose and kind of what they're doing? I will check with the insurance company, and henceforth, anytime we have some sort of event on city property that's aside from, leasing a room at the rec center, bigger events like we have the COVID testing, the things of that nature, just check with me. I will check with the insurance company, and they will tell me as to whether or not what they need, if they need anything. But usually everything is everything, but the majority of things that we do as a city are covered by the insurance company. There's just certain things they want in place should there be some sort of risk brought to the insurance company to kind of protect ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, last thing, I'm so sorry, just Teresa. When you said we have that agreement with other neighboring police forces and we help each other, so like now Bell Fountain Police is helping like with the unrest in other areas, we have to explain this at the end of the year. Are we paying for those police officers in that time? Does that come out of our budget, or is that some other St. Louis County budget? Just wanting to know how our staff is paid.
So it can happen two different ways when we deploy officers to location. So and we do it with we don't send officers to every event. We kind of selectively do it based on the amount of need in the area. So meaning that if they have enough people, we won't send anybody. But it can be, we can send somebody that's on shift. If we don't have enough people on shift, I issue overtime for it, but that doesn't happen very often. And that could be recoverable under FEMA funds or SEMA funds, but there's no like St. Louis County budget for that. That would be our budget.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? If not, we'll move to the city attorney.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mayor. I do have a brief report to follow up the chief's report regarding the article printed by Tony Messenger in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch on Monday. The chief sent to us Mr. Messenger's sunshine request to prepare a response. Since the city had until June 2nd to answer that request, in our response to Mr. Messenger, we pointed that out and asked him to do a retraction since he stated that the chief had not responded to his email. The chief had until the 2nd of June to file that response. I followed that request up with a telephone call to Mr. Messenger, and I have not yet heard from him. I intend to follow up, and should I get a response, I'll certainly inform everyone of what that response is. I have nothing additional.
Very much. Unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Okay, well, I don't know what that conversation was about there. But anyway, new business. Board number 2577.
Yes, sir. This is Alderman Thomas,
Mhm.
and I would like to make a motion for the first reading of bill number 2577.
Excuse me, Alderman Thomas, do you plan on doing the second reading tonight as well, or just the
Yes.
first?
Yes,
Okay.
first and second reading.
Okay, you could just include that in your motion.
I would like to make a motion for the first and second reading of bill number 2577.
I would like to make a motion to second that. This is Alderwoman Dales.
On the question, Alderman Thomas, could you read the title for the citizens of the bill? Okay, thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Belle Fountain Neighbors, Missouri to execute and enter into an agreement on behalf of the city with Regis Commission for computer and information technology support services.
Okay.
All right, is there the second?
I second that motion, Mayor. I'm sorry, I wasn't hearing the first time. I second that motion. This is Alderwoman Dales.
Okay. Moved and properly second. Are there any discussions? Hearing none, favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. As have it, and second read.
A bill number 2577, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Belle Fountain Neighbors, Missouri to execute and enter into an agreement on behalf of the city with Regis Commission for computer and information technology support services.
Second.
Second,
Who was that? I'm sorry.
Avant Elliott.
There any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This one is a roll call vote, Mayor.
Okay.
The second one.
Okay. Alderwoman.
I'm sorry. I'm not understanding why this one is a roll call vote.
Well, historically, our attorney has said that once we do a first read, we do a yay and nay, and the second read was a roll call vote.
It's my understanding, reviewing your ordinances, that roll call votes are only required for closed session matters.
So we've been roll calling vote for a long time. So, I mean, it's just a process, so.
Well, if it's a process you're accustomed to using, you may proceed, but your ordinances don't indicate that it's required.
Okay, thank you.
You're quite
And I
welcome.
think this is a good time for us to try to, I know we've been trying to do that for the last year, to try to look at our ordinances and bring those that are kind of out of date up to date with those that are standard. I think we should start off practicing those, even though we've done certain things in the past. If the ordinance that's in place, I think we should make those applicable to what we're doing.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposers? As have it, we'll move to bill number 2578.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion for the first and second reading of bill number 2578, an ordinance establishing emergency purchasing procedures for the city of Belle Fountain neighbors during a public health crisis or other state of emergencies.
Is there a second?
I second.
I'm sorry, who second?
This is Alderwoman Tapman.
Okay.
Mayor, I would like to go on to the second reading.
All right, we haven't passed the first one yet.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposers, nay.
Nay.
Christian, nay.
Nay.
Alderwoman Reed, nay.
Alderwoman West, nay.
Alderwoman Avant Elliott, nay.
Okay, I have,
Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call so we can see?
okay. Roll call, Mayor.
Yes, please.
Okay. Alderwoman West,
Nay.
Alderwoman Tapman,
Yes.
Alderwoman Reed,
No.
Alderman Weezy,
Yes.
Alderman Thomas,
Yes.
Alderman Christian,
Nay.
Alderwoman Dales,
Yes.
Alderwoman Avant Elliott.
Nay.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 yes and 4 no's, Mayor.
Was that the first read?
Yes.
We'll move to the second read.
Mayor,
So,
point of order, Mayor.
go right ahead.
What was the vote count on that?
4-4.
It was 4-4.
I believe your ordinances require a majority of 5 vote on that one.
Okay. So the motion fails. All right, we'll move to the next ordinance, which is bill number 2579.
Mayor, may I read?
Yes, you may.
Yes, I would like to make a motion that bill number 2579 be read first and second time. So I'd like to make a motion for it to be read the first time. An ordinance establishing civil emergency procedures for the city of Bellefontaine neighbors, Missouri, during a state of emergency.
A second.
I'll second that. This is Alderwoman Dales.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposers, say nay. Ayes have it. Second read, please.
Second read, bill number 2579, an ordinance establishing civil emergency procedures for the city of Bellefontaine neighbors, Missouri, during a state of emergency.
That second.
Wheezy, second.
Excuse me.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposers, say nay. Ayes have it, and so ordered. The mayor's report, in my report, I want to thank Alderman Weezy for his service. He wasn't there very long, but he did a lot in a short period of time. Not how long you stay, is what you do while you're there. So I want to thank him for it. I want to thank the new Alderman Carroll for his win in the election, and we look forward to working with him as we move this great city forward. I had a meeting today with the Metro mayors, and some cities are opening up their city hall. Some are opening up the rec center, but they also practicing social distances. So it's not a free for all. They're testing temperature and that sort of thing. So one city even had a board meeting, a face-to-face board meeting, and they had it in their gymnasium. And so I wanted to look more into that perhaps if we'll see what the county says. We may could have our next board meeting face-to-face in the gym. There would be room enough for us to space ourselves out in there. So we'll look at that and let you know what the decision is on that. Also, because our pool is in bad shape, the outside pool, and it's going to cost about $150,000 to get the bottom of that pool like fixed like it ought to be. I talked with Rodney Robinson today about some park grants, and there is a grant that is that we need to apply for now. I think we got like about 2 or 3 week window. So I'll get back with him tomorrow, and we'll start that process. Also, we're going to apply for a street grant to do Shipley. And, this is no guarantee. You know how grants are. We'll apply, and hopefully we'll get it. But we want all the monies that we can get that is available to us. That's where we are. Any questions?
Mayor, I know before when he presented, he had some type of proposal for cost and things like that. So would he be doing the grants without that portion to it? Because I know that it was just a discussion. We never got into board approval, and it was another person or group of people who presented as well. So I don't know what the status is of that with him being involved in the grant writing process.
The grant that
Could you just clarify? Okay.
The grant that we're going to discuss tomorrow has no cost to it. But when you get into street grants and park grants, they do have a cost. The city has to put up some money. It's sometimes like 20%. But I think you have to put up the whole amount and then get reimbursed. That part they will explain to you. So don't question me about that at this point. That's something that we're going to apply for. You will be kept informed as we go along. There's money involved, and we need to improve. Nothing we're going to do tomorrow.
Do you have an update about the salt shed?
It has the top on it. I think the only thing left, unless it got done recently, running the electric.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I can't hear you. I think some other people need to be muted or something. I can't hear you right now. Fran, can you help with muting? Please, thank you.
Hey.
Okay, the soft shed, the top is on it. I think they're running the electric. I don't know whether they're finished with it or not, but I'll check that out tomorrow. I had planned on checking it out tomorrow anyway. And
Mayor.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you finished doing your report?
Yes.
I had a question. I think this is a good segue because I heard you talking about municipalities are using their gymnasium for their board meetings. And I know we've had some budget discussions. I haven't been on any of those discussions, but in looking at the economy steadily sinking and looking at a possibility and talking to the treasurer about still our tax revenues coming in, I think we should start looking at where we need to cut significantly. I heard you say something about a repair to, I think, the pool or something you mentioned.
Yes, outside.
Outside pool in excess of $50,000. And I think we should, I'm sorry?
150.
$150,000. I think that we should seriously start thinking about where we can cut things that are not direct services. And our rec center right now is not an item that's used for direct services. It's a luxury. And so if we look at the budget that's used to keep our rec center going, it's about 529, an extra 200,000 for staffing. That's 700 and about 33. I came up $733.49 that we could save right now, because I'm thinking with COVID-19 is going to spike again at a high peak. It's steadily growing now, but it's at a slow pace. but in the fall it's going to spike. I think we should seriously thinking about if we really want to open that rec center back, for two reasons. Number one, like I said, because of our available funds to keep it going, and it's not direct services, it's a luxury item, and the amount of money we could save, as well as our courts. I know I've been looking at the communications with Judge Judy Draper. I did some research on how we can also save on that budget line item. If you look at the way that the courts are being structured now, I called and spoke with some folks at 21st Circuit. We have an opportunity now that we can relieve ourselves from the expenses of having our own court. If it goes up under the 21st Circuit Court, the only expenses we would have would be for a prosecutor and a clerk. All of the income would still come back to us. So all of the dues and fines and all that we are due would come to us. And that line item alone is $218,000. So we're talking pretty close to $1 million that our treasurer said that we might have a possibility of being a shortfall. By reconceptualizing how we deal with those two line items, we could save that money. So I think, budget time is coming up, that we ought to start thinking about those things and how we can seriously start looking at, how we're doing our tax dollars. Are we utilizing, our tax dollars to the ultimate level?
Okay. Thank you. Speaking of budget, Patrick, is Patrick on?
May I have a question for you?
Well, let me find out.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay then. What is the question, my dear?
I wanted to know, before you got off the meeting, is there any way that we could maybe schedule a budget meeting for the whole board with your permission, sir? I don't know if you want to do it at a different time or a different day, but if you can maybe by the next meeting, because if fiscal year ends June 30th, then we have been able to, in the previous years, go on the previous budget until we got one passed. I just wanted to see if you can set a date that would be convenient for you, for the board, so we can all go over the budget.
Okay, we can do that. We'll discuss that this next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Patrick,
This is Alderwoman West.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to respond to Alderwoman Tatman as far as the rec center being a luxury. I have to disagree with that. I believe the rec center is the heart of Bell Fountain neighbors. A lot of seniors use that pool. A lot of other people use the banquet rooms, and that's where we get a lot of our money. I believe if we could get a grant to maybe add on to the rec center to have a larger banquet room, we would get even more services there. So I just wanted to throw that out there to my fellow aldermen as well as the public. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That was a good throw out. I've been thinking about enlarging it myself. Patrick, could you speak to us a little bit? Do you have anything you'd like to say to us?
So can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
So I have all, as far as the next fiscal year budget, I've received all of the budgets per the departments, and I have everything updated and included on the budget sample template, ready for review, with the exception of a couple questions, and they are related to the rec center, based on some notes that I received from the rec center director. Aside from that, all items that I had previously discussed in other meetings have all been clarified and confirmed, and ready for review at this point. in preparation of approval of the budget.
All right.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
We already have a formal meeting scheduled next Thursday. Do you want that to become a agenda item meeting where any discussions and votes could be held? Because it's already on the books for next Thursday.
Well, I don't know if that one. I'd like to get together and put together a meeting date to discuss the budget that all of us, whoever want to be there, can be there.
Yeah, we'll just have to do a motion. So we got a meeting date already set. So after today, it'll be, it'll be next Thursday. And then we won't meet again until the 3rd on the 18th. So we would need to make a motion for a date during this meeting in order to be able to do it before our next board meeting.
Well,
Is there,
yes. Go right ahead.
no, I was gonna ask the question. I just heard about the budget meeting that's scheduled for next Thursday. I hadn't heard that information. Is there
This is
standard
Alderwoman Dales that's
time?
doing the strategic meeting, and I was not aware of that. And Mayor, I would just prefer to set a date that we can all attend.
All right. So
I mean, that's available for everybody. And so the last meeting we had, it was noticed that it was a budget. And so given that, we did not have a follow-up and continuation, so that was just going to be. I'm getting feedback. Is there? Yeah, so at the last strategic planning meeting, it was put in the notice that it was for budget discussion so that we could have that discussion. But when we do have it, we need to have all parties, including you, Mayor, because there's questions that we don't have anyone else to answer. So your presence would, be needed. But it's already on the book, so we're going to either be making a motion today for or we have the date that's already set.
I mean,
That was a follow-up.
Excuse me.
It's somebody with some feedback.
Right, and I can't tell where it's coming from. I can't see it.
Okay, well, we're about to close our meeting anyway, but the budget meeting that is to be scheduled should I'm not going to meet everybody can schedule a meeting and I got to go to it. I need to be informed and I need to take the leadership when it comes to the strategic planning for this city. So we will speak to that meeting tomorrow or next week rather, and come up with a date. It could be the same date and it could not be, but I want to make sure that that we're all there.
Oh, that feedback is bad.
So let's move to
Mayor?
Who's that?
This is Chief. Hey, Patrick, are you still on the line?
Yes, I'm still here.
Could you send all the department heads your final figures so we can look them over?
Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I haven't seen your final figures yet.
Right.
You guys done?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we'll move to the Alderman and Women report.
Okay, Mayor, let me ask you, do we need to give an ordinance number for those bills that passed?
What do you mean? Have we been ordinance number for them?
Yes.
Well, then we need to continue the process then.
Okay. So as bill number 2577, and the majority of the board voted and passed bill number 2577. which will become ordinance number 2571, when and if the mayor signs, when and after the mayor signs. Bill number 2577 will become ordinance number 2571. Also, the board voted and passed bill number 2579, and it will become ordinance number 2572, when and if signed by the mayor.
All right. All the people give you a report from the all people.
Okay, Alderman Thomas.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I would just like to thank the citizens of the city of Bell Fountain for their support on Tuesday by voting me into this office, which I am elected to now. Look forward to working for the citizens, with the board, and the city of Bell Fountain over these next 4 years. And again, thank Alderman Weesey. I know you won't disappear. I may not, and I'll probably still slip up and call you Alderman, but you know, blame it on my head, not my heart. And thank you again for your service. Congratulations to Alderwoman Dale, and congratulations to all soon to be appointed, well, sworn in, Alderman James Carroll. I believe that's all that I have. Be safe out here. Remember to practice the social distancing. And that is all. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Alderwoman Dales. You have muted yourself, Alderwoman Dales. I can't unmute you.
I apologize.
That's okay.
I would like to give thanks to the citizens of Ward 4 who re-elected me to another 4-year term. And I'm going to work even harder for them and for the city of Bell Fountain neighbors. I would like to congratulate our 2 new aldermen, Alderman James Thomas and James Carroll. And I also like to congratulate Alderwoman Tapman. She's done a wonderful job. I'd like the board to take maybe a minute or so that we can give our condolences to the family of George Floyd. And we got news today that Mayor Mary Carter of Pagedale transitioned over today, and she was a beacon in the community. I'd like that we give maybe a couple of seconds in their remembrance, if that's okay with the mayor.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you all. Today I did a couple of things that, and to the citizens, I apologize because this is off script for me. Today sometimes there's some dissension on the board. So I took a step and I called one of our alder people, and she said she had nothing to say to me, and I'm not calling any names. The other thing is that I have another alder person, female, who has followed me to events. I had to unfriend them on Facebook. And I know they have a right to drive through the neighborhood, but sometimes when I'm doing stuff with my citizens, they drive past my house. I'm giving out food we're partnering with Influence Church. And everything is done by Influence Church. They just ask us if our citizens could volunteer. I got word that a certain alderwoman called the pastor, went over the pastor's head, called all the people, and that alder person knows who she is. And this is what I have to say to her. If there's something that I did to you, I apologize. And I want to do it in front of the public. Because some of the things that I have heard in the community, that you call my name at least I say 200, they say 300. So whatever it is that I may have done to you, said to you, I apologize. Because it's embarrassing that elected official is going around calling people, showing that we have dissension on our board. I hope that you'll be willing to work with me. If you have anything that you want to ask me, please, please, you have my number. You can pick up the phone and call me anytime. I will not respond to your emails because I think we're women enough to talk to each other and not at each other. And that's why I'm doing this now. I think it's unfair that the particular alderwoman talks about me and the mayor daily. We can all sit down in a room and we can talk and talk it out. And the more this individual goes around and talks all over the city, it's not making me look bad. It's not making our mayor look bad. The mayor was elected by the people of this city. The president of the board of aldermen is only supposed to do anything when the mayor is out of state and it's in the ordinance. It's unfair, some of the things that are going on within this city, and it should not be. So I apologize if there's something that I ever did to you. And I hope you accept my apology. And more so than anything, I forgive you for everything that you have done and said about me. And to the person that I called today, whatever your intentions were with me, I forgive you too. And I want that to be publicly on the record. And I hope that we can all work together for the citizens, because the chairs that we sit in, they belong to the people, not to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Weezy.
Sorry, did I just cough into the microphone?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. So a couple quick things, guys. The pool renovation, Pat Barrett and I are still working on bid packages. We have another budget coming, so we can give you, firmer numbers on what we think it's going to cost and some scope as well. With respect to what Dinah said, I think it always has value to analyze what we're spending over there. And I think the women that are working over there might have some ideas about what we're saving by not having the outside pool this season, because of everything we've been through. But, so there is some savings there. But I think it is, from an infrastructure standpoint, that place is a gem. We're lucky in Bell Fountain to have it. It's a neat building. It needs work. There's work that needs to be done, but it's a neat asset for everybody, all of us. We all live here. So I think we just need further analysis. We can never turn our back on that place. It's just worth too much to us. So I'll keep working with Pat on that. I have more lighting ideas that we can save a bunch of money on. And I guess what I'll do is break them into pieces and packages and turn them over to you guys with some simple to read analysis and see how we can figure out how to save some money on utility costs. The Crete and Cabot thing, thank you guys for that. I think that really shows that, we're responsive to these folks out there. By the way, I'm working with the streets department guy. What's his name? Sanders? Mark Sanders? My neighbor and I went and cut the park and weed eated the park down here by my house. And actually it was pretty fun. We had fun doing it. So we might even mulch all the little, what do they call those, jungle gyms and all that stuff. So that was fun. Lastly.
Thank you for that, Michael. I heard about it. They said you look good out there on that lawnmower too.
That's because I didn't have a shirt on. The traffic was terrible.
Okay.
So lastly, I never had any intention of being on this board, but it was super fun. So I'll probably still be around. I can help Pat a lot. I can help you guys when something comes up. You can always call me, no doubt about that. But it was super fun to know this diverse group because, I would never run into all of you at one time in Schnucks or anything. So it's just fun to know you guys. It really was. And thanks to the mayor for appointing me. I learned a ton. It really was super nice. Two last things. Please have patience with James Carroll. He's got to get the hang of things. He's a super smart guy. Got a lot of good ideas, and he obviously cares about the city. So, and that leads me to my last point. For for anybody that's in the public listening, everybody on this board has skills and talents. They're all different. We have to learn to respect each other and respect each other's talents, and we can leverage that and really do some good stuff. So I'm hoping you guys can do that. And when I come on next week and I'm a citizen, my goal is to beat Wanda to the microphone. And then I hope that Wanda, did you hear that?
I did. I was muted, but ha 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 ha.
I'm going to figure out how to mute Wanda remotely. And then I'm going to start.
You're funny.
I'm going to quiz all these aldermen in the future. But thanks again, guys. Sorry to talk so long.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Alderman Christian.
Well, I'm on, I think.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. First off, I want to say thank you to all the voters in Bellefonte neighbors that went out to vote. We could always use more voters. Turnout still wasn't great. Make sure you go out and exercise your right to vote in August and November. Congratulations to the new elected James Carroll to the board and the re-elected Alderwoman Dales, Tatman, and Alderman Thomas. Or I guess Thomas is newly elected officially. Thank you to all those who were not elected, but you tried. Stay active, come to meetings, be active in the community, and if you still want to do it, try again. Two other business things I would like. When the city attorney said that there's nothing official in the ordinances about a roll call vote at the end of bill reading, I looked too while we were on and I didn't see it either. I would like to propose that we have a bill at the next meeting to call for a roll call vote for final passage of all bills going forward. If I can sponsor that, I would like to. And then also in March, I believe it was, I brought some information about trying to get all of the boards and commissions in line and a few internal commissions. I'm going to look at those in my emails where I have them, and I'd like to try to revisit that. I think I passed that out to the board in March. I will look for it again, and I'd like to revisit that to try to get it structured so everything can flow better and everything and make it easier for mayor to appoint, and we know that every board's represented and things like that. That is all that I have. Thank you.
Okay. Alderwoman West.
Thank you. First, I would like to congratulate James Carroll. Welcome to the board. I would also like to thank Alderman Weesey for the work that he has done and the work he will continue to do. And I also would like to thank you for the remarks that you made. I would like to congratulate Ebony Williams on her efforts and to say to her, don't give up. You are needed in Bellefonte neighbors. We need our youth. Many of us are old. I'm probably the second oldest on the board. And it's really time for us to sit down and help the youth. So also I would like to say that I have been working on the basketball ordinance along with our attorney, and we are working on the criminal nuisance law as well. So hopefully we can bring these things forth. And I would like to remind the public that we want to reinstate our Human Relations Commission. It's very important. I feel that in the past, we have not properly trained those persons who were on that commission. And so if we get it up and running, and I hope that we do, that we can get some excellent training for the people who will sit on that commission. And that's the extent of my report. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Alderwoman Reed.
Thanks, Fran.
Yes.
Yeah. Mayor, I had a question still about Bellowbrook and Runningbrook. Have you heard anything back from the street department?
No, I have not.
Okay. I wanted to request that we have a closed session for all of the open pending cases that we have in the city currently under section 610-021-1. So I wanted to make a motion that at our next meeting that we can have a closed session scheduled, since, you know, Fran has to set it up. So I want a motion to have a closed session at the next board meeting. I believe it's June 18th, 2020, Thursday, under section 610.021.1. Mayor, you want to ask for a second?
Is there a second?
Second.
Was
Alderwoman
that-
Avant Elliott.
Okay.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 No, for at least Alderwoman Dales.
No, Alderman Thomas.
Mr. Mayor?
Are they? Well, what is the count, my dear? Do we need, because I don't know what the vote count was.
I only have no from Thomas and Dales. Maybe I should
I'm
do.
sorry, I was muted. I needed Alderwoman Reed to repeat the latter part. My phone went blank, so I didn't hear the full, what we're making a motion on.
I was making a motion for a closed session at our June 18th meeting to discuss the other open cases we have with the city under section 610.021.1.
Is that second? I mean, do we need to do a second again?
No.
No, sir, I just needed point of clarification because my phone had went out, so I missed the latter part.
Well, why don't we just do a roll call vote and, yes.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Dales,
No.
Alderman Thomas,
No.
Alderwoman Tapman,
No.
Alderwoman Avant Elliott,
Yes.
Alderwoman Reed.
Yes.
Who did I miss? Alderman Christian
Yes.
and Alderwoman West.
Yes.
All right, then we'll have the meeting, the closed session, rather. All right, anything
I
else?
forgot, did she, I didn't hear.
I
Weezy.
didn't catch Weezy, Alderman Weezy.
I thought you were going to call me Alderwoman Wheezy.
No, sir.
Hey, by the way, Mayor Pearson, do I have any legal obligations to sit in on any of these cases that I was already witness to? Is that a no?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'll say yes.
Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 5 yes and 3 no.
All right, and then the motion passes. Moving right along, who's next?
Oh, Mayor, I'm sorry. I did have Alderwoman West, you said you're working on something for the basketball hoops, and because we weren't able to speak at the last board meeting, I had wanted to make a motion that we would eliminate the personal basketball hoops due to the, for safety and nuisance issues emerging in a large percentage of the city, because we got green space and people working now different hours due to this new normal, with a lot of people working from home and going to work from home for an extended amount of time. Do you want me to wait on that since you are now working with the attorney on something with basketball hoops?
No, I do not. This is not my ordinance. It's an ordinance for the betterment of the city. So any alderperson who has any input should share that with our city attorney.
No, so what I wanted to do was to make a motion for an ordinance to be written by the attorney to eliminate personal basketball hoops due to this emerging, it's a safety and a nuisance issue that now is happening in the city. Like I got one block over here where there's 5 basketball hoops and there's only 10 homes, and since Bell Fountain has a lot of green space and with a lot of people working from home now, we have basketball hoops in Bell Fountain, at our rec centers, at our parks. Why wouldn't they use those? Because even me coming home just yesterday, there was 2 basketball hoops. I had to wait for kids to get out the street because they still just play directly in the street. And thank God I ride 20 miles an hour, but a lot of people don't. So but what I'm saying is I don't want to duplicate an effort and have the attorney writing 2 ordinances. You understand what I'm asking?
I understand. For sure. I didn't at first, but I do now. I have no problem with, stopping the street basketball.
It would be like really similar to like what Pat had talked about with the lights and things like that. Obviously, if you already have a basketball hoop, if it's cemented, if you already have one, a movable one, you would be grandfathered in. But if that house changes owners, if, whatever, then you wouldn't be allowed. But we have basketball hoops for you where you can play in our city. It's kind of getting, because the kids are not in school, so they are playing all day long, So, and when, especially in Bissell Hills over here, which we're not 100%, but I think even in Bricktown and maybe in Ward 4, they don't have a lot of big lots, and maybe we can put something in there for, feet away from another home, where the bouncing, when they're outside your window, they're bouncing. People work day shift, people work night shifts. If you got a large property with acreage, then, your neighbor wouldn't hear it. But we are very close over here. It's a 1-car driveway, and that's the most part of Bell Fountain. Most people have 1-lane driveway. So that's what I was asking. I hope that makes sense, Wes, too, and Mayor.
To me.
Well, I did have a question, Mayor. May I?
Go right ahead.
I hear what Alderwoman Reed is saying. I don't know if Alderwoman West wants to share what the ordinance that she's working on, what it consists of. Is it the same thing that Alderwoman Reed is saying, or is it something different?
It is something different, but I would like for the attorney.
Okay, I can't hear.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I think sometimes I put my hand over my speaker on the phone. I apologize. But I would like the attorney to respond to that. I can see what Alderwoman Reed was saying, or understand what she was saying. And I guess an emergency statement could be put in there to deal with something like the COVID-19 virus that we're going through, because it is not safe at this point. It's a contact sport. So I would like for the attorney to really, if you don't mind.
Can we table this until we can sit down and talk about it with the attorney and we can.
Mayor, if I could just add one thing, I agree that perhaps this should wait to a later time. Alderwoman West told me that she had previously requested that Helmut Starr work on a nuisance ordinance for her. And Fran Stevens followed up with Helmut, and I understand that he has something that he has worked on that's going to be forthcoming. Is that your understanding as well, Fran?
Yes. When he talked, he said he would get back with you and let you know what he was coming up with.
So until we get that information, I think it would be prudent just to hold off.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Was that it, Alderwoman Reed?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Alderwoman Avant Elliott.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who has come out. Congratulations to Weesey. You've done a great job. I appreciate your positive energy, wanting to do what's right. Congratulations to everyone else who have won their elections. And we're going to only have one new person to the board. So congratulations to James Carroll on his win. I'm looking forward to his expertise around ordinances. And I wanted to also share that George Floyd's funeral was today, and we've already recognized him in a moment of silence, but I think that it's worth mentioning the need to really think about our biases, both within our culture and outside of our culture, as far as the disenfranchisement that we typically experience as African Americans. So I hope that we can reflect on our behaviors and how we treat each other around justice and equality, and be a model for the other cultures that we engage with, and based on how we treat one another. I do want to thank Alderwoman Reed for providing me the census materials for the polling day. A lot of people did indicate that they had already completed their census, but they were excited to get the fans. But I do have some left because it was only a few. Bell found a lot of Jennings individuals came, so we eventually left. I do want to note that there will be several commissions that will be open for some type of service. And I would like to remind individuals who take on those responsibilities that we may be elected and you are appointed, but we're all representatives of the city. So we are expected to be professional and engage and represent the city in a positive manner and in a positive way towards each other, to be mindful of that. Additionally, I would like to take this opportunity before our next meeting to thank Alderwoman Dales for nominating me last year for president of the Alderman Board. And I know that it's a democratic process. So whoever wants to do that, that is fine. But that will be, I guess, after everybody is sworn in and ready to go. But thank you, Alderwoman Dales, for nominating me last year for that position. And my last statement is around, let me see. I had a few notes. I will be looking to host a virtual Ward 4 town hall meeting, which will be an opportunity for citizens to hear from the officer, the chief, around and ask questions that they may have in the community. Given the COVID, I know they have not had access to call City Hall and get a lot of things done. So they may be able to ask questions of different individuals through that call. So I'm pending individuals who would like to participate. So if Alderwoman Dales, if you would like to participate, please contact me. I will be happy to coordinate something with you as well. And I did have a interest in revisiting our conversation about speed bumps. We passed the budget last year for it, and we only did the one, but we have not really revisited that conversation. I want to congratulate Michael Clark, who will be graduating on June 13th. He's in Ward 2, and he will be graduating from the United States Military Academy at West Point. I did ask the mayor today, along with a message to Fran, to see if it could be placed on the website, and to also possibly, Chief, to give up a page so we can highlight them in the newsletter. I did have someone, so you all would know, that have reached out to me about the cost of the newsletter. And, you know, I will be providing that information, because if we did decide to do something, I'm sure will require RFP. But for the newsletter itself, I would need any information that is citywide to be provided to me by the end of this month, so I can have the newsletter ready. Oftentimes it's right before the deadline that I'm getting some information, and I have asked way in advance in order to make sure that I can complete the edits and have it for everyone to review before submission. So if we are going to revisit a conversation about adding additional pages so that we can have more word-specific content, I think that will be good for budget discussion. I also think that it would be good for us to consider a conversation around eliminating allocations such as the office manager and maybe the assistant aquatics director. And then we also need to prepare for the city manager job description to be posted for internal and external candidates. So we can revisit what that job description looks like so we can move forward with that as well. And then I think the last thing maybe, I think that's it. So any additional thoughts and comments I will leave to the next meeting. So I would like to thank everybody who has contributed to some type of communication and support during this pandemic to make sure that the community is informed, whether it's Influence Church, whether it's the COVID testing, whether it's the PSAs that our older persons have done in the community, and along with posting information on social media. Thank you all for what you have done to try to keep the citizens informed. Is very appreciated. And I did note that someone received my PSA that I sent via a phone blast. And it was a question asked about that information. When Denny was here, she provided me that information. So that's how I received contact information for my constituents to reach out. So thank you once again. And please, if you have not completed the census, it's still not late, too late to do it. Please complete it. We were at 60% the last time I checked. So if you could complete that, that will be appreciated. And if you have court clerk experience, our judge is really looking for someone to fill that position immediately. Thank you so much.
Okay. Alderwoman Tapman.
Yes, good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the citizens of Ward 1 for entrusting me with their vote for a 4-year term. I'm excited about the work that's needed to be done, and we're working as a team to press forward. Just want to give the board an update from the emergency meeting. I know there were some questions asked and I answered, but I want to also answer them publicly just in case there was more than one person. The insurance policy that's required and all documentation that's required for the COVID-19 testing centers will be in place. Keith Eiler and I have been working closely to make sure that that base is covered, as well as we received a $10,000 donation that would take care of the staffing for that. I didn't bring that up because I didn't come to the board to ask for it. So, but we have been given that. Both churches, New Sunny Mountain Missionary Baptist Church and Westside Missionary Baptist Church, both have given money towards that effort, one $2,500, one $1,500. My husband and I will be putting in the extra 1,000 that's needed. We have acquired 20,000 face masks, the KN95 face masks from St. Louis County Health Department, who found out what we were trying to do, and we were having some hardships in inquiring what we need. So they are now a partner in the testing sites, and we'll be starting off with 20,000 to start. And if we need additional, we have a commitment that we can get that from them. I'm excited about what's happening with this, because as the numbers keep spiking in our area and people have been asking and excited about it, we handed out flyers during the election day to inform people, as well as we have telemarketing that's doing that work for us as well. So right now, every citizen will be able to have a mask. I'll get the final numbers for the hand sanitizers on tomorrow, and working with this UCC church. So everybody is donating to our efforts, and I appreciate that. So I wanted to bring you up to date on what's going on with that. Most of you should be able to pull down the flyer next door, but what I would like to ask my colleagues to do is to distribute those flyers at your comfort into your communities. I know Ward 1, we have 7 volunteers that will be going out along with me in our mask and gloves, distributing those flyers in Ward 1. But if you're needing help to get the word out to your citizens, we're more than happy. If you're not comfortable in doing that or asking people to do that, we don't mind doing that. We want everybody in the city to know what we're doing. Also, I want to congratulate Mr. Carroll for winning the election, along with my colleagues, Alderwoman Elise Dales and Alderman James Thomas. And I'm looking forward to us, as everything has changed, that during this season, even as we continue to challenge each other, that we do it with a decorum of respect and courtesy, because we all are different. But it's like Grandmama used to say, it's not what we say, it's how we say it. Also, I want to say to Michael that you have contributed a great deal. Just your presence, your ideas, and your personality added something to this board that was needed at that time. And I am hoping, as you said, that you will stay connected and stay involved, even though you're not an alder person, you're a citizen who loves this city. So I hope you will continue to contribute your expertise and your helpfulness. Oh, forgot, tomorrow at 2:00 p.m. On the steps of City Hall, the cohort that will be doing the COVID testing will be doing an article as Don Music and Brian Hayes of Healthy Homes and Music Construction present that $10,000 check to the efforts for our COVID testing. So that's at 2 p.m. tomorrow. For those of you who believe in what we're doing, if you want to be there for that opportunity, we'll be there at 2:00. At 3, between 3 and 3:30, the mayor has offered us to use his truck. We'll go over and pick up the mask from Lewis County Health Department. That's my report.
Thank you so much. And Channel 2 is going to do an announcement on the testing Monday. That will be done tonight at 10. All right. Meeting is now open to the public for 3 minutes each.
Wanda Lane, I did that on purpose, Michael. Wanda Lane, 9900 Martindale, and I will be brief. Mr. Weezy, and I also am probably going to call you Alderman just because, even if it was a little time. I didn't know that you existed before former mayor appointed you to planning and zoning. And what I've observed in the amount of time that I've been active in the city is that when an official does not win re-election, they kind of disappear. And that's disheartening to me, because that's a lot of, even though you only were on for a short amount of time, you are a wealth of knowledge that I think needs to continue to be in the city. Everybody has said it. I'm just saying it from a citizen's point of view. Don't disappear as former elected officials have done. That's all I'm going to ask. Alderwoman Dale, thank you for extending the olive branch. Actually, I think you extended an olive tree to the people that you spoke with, and now, you know, it takes two. It's got to be a two-way street. Earlier, you all were discussing the basketball hoops. Basketball hoops were in our parks. They are no longer in our parks. The previous mayor had them removed because there was the conception that it brought fighting and what have you. I don't know, because I don't play basketball in the park, but something to consider about that. Regarding the budget That is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. That meeting, the illegal, and I'm going to keep calling it illegal, meeting that was held where the budget was discussed was not presented as a budget meeting. And the public is very much, we've been through all of this. Those of you who were spent any time before now, we've been through all this where the citizens are excluded from the budget meeting, and we don't want to do that again. We want to include the budget, the citizens in any kind of budget meeting. I think we need to have a social media policy, because anytime you're out speaking on behalf of Bell Fountain neighbors, there's got to be legal ramifications. Probably no big deal, but it needs to happen. And the last thing, city manager, I was trying to write down a post for the description of what have you. I am unaware that this city has determined that we're going to hire a city manager, especially in the middle of a health pandemic where we see our revenues decreasing. As a citizen, I don't think that's a wise thing to do. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say I agree with everything Wanda said. And I also practically agree with all of you. But I did want to say that I know you'll notice I haven't been there because I've gotten so old. I don't like to be out after dark. So these meetings that we've been having, even though they've been because of the COVID, I wish we could keep it orally so that I can listen. They sound selfish. I don't know.
I don't think so.
You'll do that in the future, even though you've opened it up for a regular meeting?
That's a good idea.
I'm sorry, Kathy, what's your last name?
Mason, M-A-S-O-N.
Okay, and your address, please?
I'm sorry, I should know better. It's at 1013 Donnell Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. And I like the idea of blocking off the city streets coming into our streets. I can stand on my porch and see St. Louis City. Not always a good thing. And I probably have spoken my 3 minutes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good evening. This is Felicia Ezel Gillespie, 619 Marshfield Drive. Kathy, actually, I'm going to piggyback on a couple of things that you spoke to. Mayor, I know you did speak to possibly having in-person board meetings in the near future. And that was my ask also, if we could continue to allow citizens to participate via Zoom. And also, the barriers, I think the barriers are a great idea. And I know that the chief said he was going to research the barriers, but I would just ask, the barriers are an awesome idea, but we don't want barriers that are eyesores in our community. We don't want barriers that look like the Berlin Wall, and I've seen them in other communities. So I think it's important, the type of barrier we get, it fits in with the aesthetics of our city, and it doesn't bring down the actual property value of the city, because St. Louis County used some that were absolutely awful. I also want to thank the police department for their response. In the last month, my sister who is in Ward 4, we are in Ward 1. We've had to make several phone calls to the police department, and the response has been phenomenal. So we want to thank you for your support. We want to see continued presence on the street. I like when I walk outside and I see an officer drive down the street, and I think all the wards need to see that, because I have spoke to some residents who are not experiencing that. I want to follow up with the housing authority complaint that my husband and I sent. The last response we sent was on May 27th. And I just want to say, we CC'd the chief and both of our alderpersons on these complaints. But every time they answer, they always respond just to Wesley. And so we make sure when we respond to them, we include everyone. They have not responded to the last correspondence, we sent them on May 27th, but we are going to follow up because we're going to see this thing through. And it's not just going to be for Ward 1. We are here to help anybody that has any type of neighbor issue, because this is not just a Ward 1 issue, this is a Bell Fountain issue. And lastly, I want to thank my niece, who is a resident of Ward 4, and she's a recent college graduate of Washington University in St. Louis. And she assisted my alderwoman, and she volunteered and made the COVID-19 testing flyer. So Olivia, thank you. And Alderwoman Avant Elliott, can you give me that date, that what's the deadline date for the newsletter? Because I would like to submit something for my niece graduating as well.
I'm collecting information by the end of this month. So what's the last Friday of this month? Is the 26th.
Okay, we'll have it to you by the end of next week.
Okay,
all right,
sounds good.
So, and then the last thing, I just want to thank you, Alderman Weesey, for your service. I've enjoyed you prior to you actually being appointed to the position, but I just want to thank you for what you've done, and I want to congratulate the other alderpersons that ran for office, and thank you for your continued service. We do appreciate everything you do. Alderwoman Dales, Alderwoman Tatman, and Alderman Thompson. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Pat Barrett with 717 Kelvin Drive. Congratulations to all who have been reelected and newly elected. I'm sure we'll all work together well in the future. I want to thank Mike Weesey for his service both as alderman and for his almost 4 years at Planning and Zoning. I appreciate his help, and especially all the work he does that does not appear on a job description. That is the LED lights in the rec center. There is the barriers that he talked about, going from Cabot into the shopping center, and the pool that he and I have been doing a little bit of tag teaming on. And finally, cutting grass in the park that's closest to his home. Thank you, Michael. I hope you can make it to planning and zoning meetings anytime.
I'm watching you like a hawk.
Thank you. Please keep that up.
Thank you. Anyone else? Then we'll bring the meeting back. I want to thank everybody for being on the meeting tonight. Again, thank you for your comments. Thank you for all that you do. Take care of yourself during this time, and we'll make it through this. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Alderman Thomas, I make a motion.
Oh, go ahead.
Alderman Thomas would like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second. Oh.
We'll give you the
Everybody ready to adjourn.
I just wanted to beat Wanda.
all in
You're funny.
all
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
have it. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good night.
You
Bye,
too.
guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Y'all. Bye-bye.